look, I'm bought in, you know? I've already made it abundantly clear. I'm in for the ride, right? Me and my bonehead friends, we're gonna be here for every installment, but I gotta say, this is a bit of a misstep, man.
Place where you can be a little boy for the rest of your existence. Give her to me!
Marco?
And today we have Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. So, for those of you that don't already know what this is, or what this is all about, this is, I know way too much of this. But basically, there's these expired IPs, these intellectual properties for pre-existing characters and kind of worlds, universes, mainly in the way of almost these childhood storybook characters and nursery rhymes and such. There's other people out there doing stuff with Mickey Mouse, with Popeye and all this. I've reviewed every single one of these so far. This is the third one in this particular grouping that I've gone to the trouble of reviewing. What's even crazier is I've seen these each respectively in theaters. And these are movies that get like a day or two for a release. But getting into the director, things get interesting to say the least. There's a conspiracy theory I'm unraveling here. If you go to IMDb, it says Neverland Nightmares directed by Scott Jeffrey. But I know what you're thinking if you're like us. We watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, the behind-the-scenes featurette. This is lore that you shouldn't care about at all, by the way, but here we are. The actor who plays Christopher Robin in the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey Part 2, because they retconned 1 and pulled a Human Centipede Part 2, right? They made it so Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1 is actually an in-universe movie that doesn't technically exist. It's an exaggeration of the events of what really happened in the 100 Acre Wood Massacre that happens in Blood and Honey Part 2. So the new actor, who's played by Scott Chambers, he, in the behind-the-scenes featurette for Blood and Honey Part 2, says, "I'd love to be part of this universe, this Poohniverse, and actually, in addition to being an actor who's here in Blood and Honey Part 2, I'm going to be the director of some other projects down the line, including Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare." And so we all kind of retain that info. This is it is the fact that I know this lore right now. I'm upset. I don't like that I have this knowledge of how these films have been, the history of this franchise. I'm gonna cry. Like,
this is all I got left.
There's a name change, what I'm trying to say. He changed his name. If you go on IMDb, he has all these credits as Scott Chambers for a plethora of dog shit movies. Like Conspiracy Theory Time, you tell me why, and this big new film, part of a new Poohniverse horror, mostly at this point crowdfunded horror series of expired IPs, why is it Mr. Chambers? You're referring to yourself as Scott Jeffrey. Why, I wonder? Is it shame? Is it rebranding? Is it I'm genuinely curious. I'm not even trying to hurl accusations, perhaps in comedic jest, yes, but I'm genuinely curious. Why? Because you go to IMDb and all there is under Scott Jeffrey is this fucking movie, man. Conspiracies aside, that's a whole other rabbit hole. Like I said, I know way too much about the makings of this franchise and this film than I should, really. There's no reason I should know all this, but I do. I would say don't watch it, first of all. Blood and Honey 1, it's a bad movie, but it's hilarious. Blood and Honey Part 2, I admire. They had more funding, they put more effort into the effects, surprising amount into story, cinematography, like filming were better overall. So then this one was the next one being announced. We figured, oh, well, Peter Pan's Nightmare. So we thought, oh, this will just be Peter Pan, but translated a similar way. But no, like, they go out of their way to ground this film and its characters. Peter Pan is just a mentally disturbed individual who is like, oh yes, I need to find the right boys, good boys, to go to Neverland. And so, like, he kidnaps boys, and then going to Neverland is that when he wants them to go to a place where they'll never grow up, which just means he kills them. So he kidnaps these kids, and then keeps them under lock and key, playing games with these kids, and then eventually kills them and sends them to Neverland, basically. This gets into some weird waters because, like, he kidnaps this little boy who we find out later the boy liked dressing, up in like dresses and wearing pink and kind of leaning more towards that of like a feminine lifestyle, which, go off, cool, awesome. Cut to years later, grown-up version is now Tinkerbell. So clearly, she, word, cool, love the representation. We have, she wants to be Tinkerbell, she wants to be her, good for her, that's great. But then, like, this character of Tinkerbell is then, like, abused because then she's being groomed by Peter Pan. And then, they have pixie dust, which is just heroin, and she's kept in this cycle. And then when Peter Pan gets mad enough at her, he, like, dead names her.
You're not being a good boy right now.
And then eventually, like, brutally, we're talking about tearing limbs off, eventually kills her. I don't care about spoiling this movie because it's not a good one. It's a misstep in the series. They take things way too seriously in this one. And I know what you're thinking, like, isn't that the point of horror? And, like, yes, but there's a certain vibe to these films where, I mean, come on. No matter how seriously they're acting, they gotta know what they have. It was just depressing. It was watching a film that was actually trying to genuinely be a horror film, and maybe there were some moments where that creepiness comes through the camera, but if the idea is to make all this part of this Poohniverse, which inherently is a silly and ridiculous premise that we're accepting on your back, we're here for you guys. Like, they're not meant to be taken super seriously, but this one, like, is aiming for very, very serious, dark horror film, and it's just, like, depressing. A new couple of kids get kidnapped, and the investigation of Wendy trying to find her brother and company, then Peter Pan, like, kills more families and, like, more innocents and gets away with it. And then that's just kind of the whole movie. Like, literally is like a lot of kids die in this film. Not all on screen, but literally just like, oh, cool. A whole busload of kids just bit the big bazooka. Okay, I'm not laughing right now. Like, we were waiting for moments that would be ridiculous or that would be like so bad or cheesy or just ridiculous, funny stuff. And that wasn't what this even was. Shot well enough. Direction is fine. The actors are certainly trying to do what they can with what they have. The highlight of this film, if you want to call it that, I guess would be Peter Pan's performance, but first scene he appears in is when he abducts this kid in the past, and he does so through a random, what I can only assume is a basement hatch a la Evil Dead, and then literally delivers us a whole, like, Pennywise Joker performance.
Wakey, wakey. I'm Peter. It's nice to meet you.
The actor's certainly doing his thing. When you go on his IMDb, it lists him, I think, more as a performance artist or something like that. I don't have specific notes for this film. What does it do right? The practical effects are good. Whenever there's violence, it's unfortunate, but it's done pretty well. I think it's mostly all practical aside from Peter Pan the Shadow, which is just a CGI manifestation of Peter's, like, inner darkness combined with his drug use, I guess. The acting is...
This is not happening. You sick fuck.
It's a bummer that it takes itself too seriously, and with the precedent that's been set from the prior two Poohniverse movies, multi-year plan of these, like, D, E, F level, purposefully cheesy made, like, they're not going to be good, but they're going to be fun. This one wasn't good. It wasn't even fun. It was just, like, sad. It was just taking itself way too seriously. It was an odd, melodramatic misstep in the whole Poohniverse plan, and I hope they would correct things, even make it as bad as the first Blood and Honey. We would have been okay with that. I hesitate to say transphobic, but my friends and I definitely had some conversations about it afterwards, and it's like, why was the trans character that was in this movie the one who was being groomed and then abused and then murdered violently and viciously on screen and then dead named? It's kind of like the whole problem of having a lot of movies that have gay characters and then somebody always ends up dying. I can't wait for Bambi or Pinocchio or whatever's next. I certainly hope they look fun and funny. But this one was just, we don't need to get this serious, guys. We don't need to take this too seriously. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna watch them, I promise. I'm hoping they're bad, I'm hoping they're cheesy, I'm hoping they aren't this serious, and we're all okay with that. I would give Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare a low 2 out of 5. Not good. You don't have to see it. That's all I gotta say about Neverland Nightmare. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I review. Have a good day, have a good night, and goodbye, travelers.